welcome to another episode of the Beyond Sport podcast, a podcast where we talk about careers in sport, sport itself, mental health, and everything in between. I'm Nathan. You're joined by my fellow co-hosts, Craig. Would use me Mark, and Mark sends his apologies today. We've also got student host Ishak here with us, and I am delighted to introduce our guest today. He is GB Paralympic athlete, qualified for Tokyo 21, a para-table tennis player, very high in the world rankings, and that is Tom Matthews. Thank you for joining us, Tom.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So the first question I want to sort of ask is, tell us a bit about your background, how you came to discover table tennis, and how the sport has taken you on a journey to where you're practically at the top.
Yeah, so it was all a bit of a crazy ride, really. I used to race downhill mountain bikes at a good level at a young age. And at the age of 16, I had an accident and went over the handlebars on like a practice weekend. Ended up breaking my neck at C5, C6, which is quite high up. Luckily, I still got the use of my arms, so I still can play table tennis. So yeah, when I was in hospital, basically, a guy used to come around the wards, Jim Monkley, and he used to try and get people to get up and play table tennis. Me being the 16-year-old that I wasn't interested in table tennis. I was getting back on my bike, I thought, at that time. And yeah, he kept coming around, kept persisting. And in the end, I just basically got up to get the guy to shut up, to be honest, because he was doing my head in. Ended up falling in love with the sport. And yeah, my career started from there, really. It's a bit of a long road, though, because obviously a life-changing accident, going from an able-bodied kid to being disabled, was massive life-changing. It was ups and downs to that. And yeah, Jim kind of showed me the way. But I think I started for about 6 months table tennis. And I was just kind of going back and forth sports centre, doing a little bit. And then I had my car. I started going out drinking with the boys and just kind of getting back to a normal kind of life, really. And then I think it was the beginning of 2013, I started taking it really seriously. I called up Jim Monkley and just said, look, can I give it another shot? He knew how serious it was because I just told him I'd watched the London 2012 Paralympic Games and I could see how far I could go in the sport. So I just wanted to give it another shot, and I'm so glad I did, because now I've qualified for Tokyo 2020.
Fantastic.
And that's a kind of amazing kind of story that you've got, Tom, and stuff. And like you said there, seeing other people being able to do these sort of things, you know, especially in like the Paralympics and stuff, and now you're kind of competing with them and against them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's quite an inspiring sort of thing. Yeah. And it's really fast paced, you know, para-table tennis, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pretty quick, to be honest.
And so your actions must be quite, you know, quite high up there as well, you know, trying to mobilise and move around the table as well as stuff.
Well, yeah, that and a lot of Call of Duty to help out, to be honest with you.
Brilliant, excellent.
So following on from that, I'm just wondering if you can tell our listeners, our students, and everyone else, the sort of your experiences in sport, and especially in para-table tennis, like some of the level of competition that you've played in, Tom.
Yeah, so obviously in every sport there's ups and downs. I've had a few losses, I've had a few great wins, but the competitions I played in at the moment, the highest level is Europeans and Worlds. And obviously the next step is the Paralympics, which is Tokyo. It's my first Paralympic Games, so I'm really excited for that and to see what happens. Not only might be a bit different this time around with obviously what's going on in the world at the moment, but I'm still extremely excited for it. And yeah, there's a few more tournaments around Britain I've done. Obviously the internationals are the one that counts the world ranking. That's what I've been enjoying, really.
Nice.
Really good. It's really good how sport can take you places that you didn't expect, isn't it? Like, you wouldn't ever think, oh, I'm going to go to Tokyo to play table tennis. Like that's just when you were on your mountain bike as a 16-year-old kid or whatever it may be. That was like something nowhere near your thoughts, wasn't it?
It's crazy, yeah, because I wouldn't have the life I have now if I weren't in a wheelchair. And that's fact. I wouldn't be traveling the world doing something I love. I'd probably be doing, well, I was going on to be a carpenter in college, so I'd probably be working 9 to 5. And yeah, but it's crazy. I'm traveling the world doing something I love now, which is amazing, to be honest.
That's brilliant, that. And that kind of leads into your question, Ish. What did you want to ask?
Yeah, it does, yeah. I was just going to ask, what did it feel like when you found out that you qualified to become the GB Paralympic team? fair.
As you can see, it still makes me smile now. Yeah, I was over the moon, to be honest. I couldn't really put it into words. I found out in the morning off my coaches, and then I had to go and check on the website just to make sure it was real, to be honest. But yeah, it took a while to sink in, and even now when someone mentions it, I still smile. So it's a good feeling, to be honest.
Just in sort of a more holistic sense, Tom, can you tell us a bit more about your disability and kind of how it impacts on your day-to-day life and the stuff you do to combat that?
Yeah, so at the start it was really difficult. I had to have carers and stuff like that. My main goal coming out of hospital was to be fully independent again. I've managed to do that, luckily. But with my level of disability, I haven't got any hand functions. My hands are constantly closed like this. So I have to strap it back to my hand when I play. I got no tricep function, so I can't lift upwards from here. And I got no core function. So you can kind of guess how difficult that is for day to day. But you find your ways, like you adapt. And that's what I say. Having an injury when you're younger is probably easier than when you're older. I didn't have any responsibility. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have a wife. I could just concentrate on myself and kind of get through that situation. So luckily, it was a blessing to have it at a young age. Well, I would say luckily, we were luckily to have an accident, but you know where I'm coming from.
Excellent. And have you kind of suffered any kind of injuries along the way that's hampered your progress within table tennis as well? So,
just probably my broken femur, to be honest. I've had a few like shoulder niggles here and there, but they've been sorted quite quickly. It's just a femur that caused me the biggest problem. I think it took me 6 months to get over that.
I was just about to say, and we speak with quite a few athletes of this, and they say that injury sometimes really kind of hampers that kind of mental side of it as well. You just want to get back playing, and how did you kind of cope with that?
It was a struggle. I was quite lucky because I got a good team around me. I was constantly in contact with them, and they were just reassuring me it was going to be all right. But yeah, it was difficult just sitting back and just kind of watching the tournaments, and yeah, it was a strange time. It's almost like now it's just a bit strange. Kind of doing everything from your house, just trying to rest up and get fit and get back to the table as soon as possible, really.
Yeah.
Away from table tennis, Tom, we understand that you're a massive Swansea City fan. And as Rovers support, Doncaster Rovers supporters, we hope to be travelling down to the Liberty next season, all fingers crossed. Obviously, football's a massive, and watching sport is a massive thing for people, helping people's mental health and stuff. Do you find that following Swansea, supporting Swansea helps with your mental health? And what else do you do to sort of keep your mind occupied?
Yeah, it definitely does. It gives you a focus. It gives you something to watch. It passes some time. There's some great conversations that come out of it online, like Twitter and stuff like that. Some crazy things, like I said, but it's quite entertaining. Apart from that, I like to play Call of Duty. And I just like to go for a drive and stuff like that when you can. Obviously, with all the restrictions in place at the moment, it's a bit difficult. And just getting out and about, doing some exercise and just keeping a routine to my day instead of slugging on the sofa all day. I like to get up and kind of get moving and do something.
That's something we've spoke about quite a lot on this podcast, the importance of routine and structure. So is that something you find massively, like you embed in your day to help you sort of progress through the day?
Yeah, definitely. It's been massively beneficial as well. Obviously, during lockdown, the first one, it was very difficult because you could just do what you want. Obviously, we had our sessions online. They weren't starting till 10:30, so you could just basically have a lie-in every day. So I just kept a routine and kept trying to wake up at a certain time, because otherwise you just find yourself just getting lazier and lazier, and it was going to always be hard to go back into full-time training again. But yeah, I think routine has helped me through this whole pandemic, to be honest.
Fantastic.
And just one thing you mentioned, Tom, and I think it kind of works this, where we talked about before with other athletes, is kind of cross-training stuff. Now, obviously, with table tennis, you need quite quick reactions and stuff. With your Call of Duty, with your computer kind of games, that kind of must go kind of hand in hand in terms of that quick hand-eye reaction sort of stuff.
Yeah, it does. It does help out. But it can hinder the performance as well. And this comes down to the mentality side of things. Like, sometimes I get a bit angry on Call of Duty when you die, and then like it can transition to the table. So I kind of got to watch how much I play. But yeah, it does help with reactions. I will say that.
Yeah, good. And kind of touching on that mental health side of things, you're obviously part of a team of athletes, of Paralympians and stuff. Is that sort of kind of something that you talk about, kind of mental health?
Yeah, we do talk about it. There's a few guys in the squad that actually suffered with mental health quite badly. And yeah, it's a good subject to bring up because only of late it's become a massive thing in sport, and athletes are starting to talk about it, which is a really good thing. I think people need to talk about mental health more, to be honest.
Yeah. No, brilliant.
Does that feed into your question around mental health issues?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring it back to when it was lockdown and it's been tough on everyone. I was just gonna say, how were you dealing or looking after your own mental health during the lockdown?
I'm looking after my mental health quite well. Like I said before, I got a good team around me, so I'm in close contact with them, and obviously keeping in close contact with my family and my friends. They just the rock to me. I'd say my father and my mother are the biggest influences on me. If I got a problem, I'll always tell them. It was like I can take it back a little bit if one. So when I had my accident, I knew that you weren't going to walk again before the doctor even came in because my father had already told me. So we got a good strong bond like that. He never kept anything away from me. So that's what helps me, just having that close and like knit group around me, to be honest.
And kind of switching focus to Tokyo, which we hope happens sooner rather than later.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Obviously, pandemic getting in the way and all that sort of stuff. But the ambitions are obviously there to try and get on that podium, I would imagine, for yourself. Kind of what lies beyond that then? If you do manage to realise that kind of realisation, is it a case of we go again for another one, or is it a case of we look to use your story to inspire others, or what?
I think it's definitely go for another one. Malone is my first Paralympics. I don't know what to expect really. So I've never been to a Paralympic game. So I might hate it. I might love it. We'll see. But at the moment, it's to go for the next one, which would be Paris. And then we'll see after that. Obviously, I'll be getting on a bit done. I'll be probably, I think it's 32, 33 at the end of Paris. So I'd have to kind of evaluate it all. But at the moment, I'm just concentrating on the games. Obviously, if I can inspire people along the way, by doing talks and going to certain meets, I'll obviously do that. But at the moment, it's all about table tennis for me.
Perfect. Good.
Ish, does that feed into what you want to ask?
I think I've covered all my questions.
Good. Okay, no worries. Ish. So one thing we like to ask all our participants, Tom, is if you could go back in time to yourself, who would be around our college students age 16 to 18, what advice would you give a young Tom Matthews?
Oh, this is a good question. I knew it was coming as well. I'd probably just say believe in yourself. Believe in what you can do. Anything's achievable as long as you set your mind to it. Take the advice along the way. And that's all you can do. Like, you can achieve your goals by believing in yourself. That's what I'd love to tell myself when I was a bit younger, to be honest.
Fantastic.
And what kind of probably the best piece of advice you've been given, whether that be for table tennis, whether that be in life, kind of, if you can think about, people that might have inspired you, coaches or influences on you, who's kind of give you that one piece of advice that you think, you know what, that actually means a lot,
There's a few, but it's quite deep. Like the main one would be live life for today, not for tomorrow. Because you're not ever guaranteed tomorrow. You may as well enjoy every moment. There's a few of them. There's when I first started off, I used to get nervous before matches, obviously because it means so much. And I've sat down with the coaches and they've just said, look, just enjoy it. Just go out there and enjoy it. And which is quite hard to process. Whereas you become more experienced as an athlete, you do learn to enjoy it. You enjoy the competition more.
Do you have any superstitions? Like, do you like do any kind of pre-match routines or anything?
There's certain songs I listen to before going out. Apart from that, I don't like to get too superstitious because it'll just kind of get in my way, to be honest.
Yeah, because we spoke to goalkeepers who put a left glove on before the right glove and stuff like that, and stuff. It kind of all that kind of mental preparation and stuff before a big game.
Obviously, I've got a routine. I'll do my stretches and stuff beforehand, but apart from that, There's no lucky boxes or anything going on here. It's just get out there and smash it, to be honest.
Fair enough. No, that's a good advice.
Tom, that sort of brings our podcast to sort of a wrap. All that's left to say really is from us all at Club Doncaster Sports College, we are all going to be backing you and Team GB at both the Olympics and Paralympics. We wish you all the best and thank you so much for coming on and in sharing your incredibly inspiring story, your sheer levels of resilience and yeah, just good luck moving forward. Thank you so much for coming on and giving your time.
No, thanks very much. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
No problem.